Ukrainian defense tech shocks Putin 2026. It is Monday, February 9, 2026. And, the global balance of military power is shifting right under our feet in real time. Before we get into what's happening, I need you to do one thing for the cause of freedom and truth. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports.
We are seeing a technological leap that, it usually takes decades. This is happening in months. You really don't want to miss what we're about to break down.
Join me in the latest program by Defense Report for the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we're going to cover, the absolute upheaval happening at the World Defense Show in Riyadh. We're looking at a paradigm shift where a nation without a navy is somehow dictating sea dominance.
It's a fascinating collision of the old world and the new. The World Defense Show, WDS, is happening right now in Saudi Arabia. The scale is it's immense. You've got 925 exhibitors from 80 countries, over 100,000 visitors.
And all the big players are there, I assume. Lockheed, Raytheon.
Oh, absolutely. They're there with their polished concepts. But the booth that's actually drawing these stunned crowds, it's Ukraine's.
It's that difference, isn't it? The difference between a concept car and a rally car that just crossed the finish line completely caked in mud.
Exactly. We're hearing the NAUDI, that's the National Association of Defense Industry Enterprises of Ukraine, has organized this massive footprint, 17 individual companies, a huge joint national stand.
Their ambassador was even there on day one, right? Anatoly Petrenko. So they're sending a message.
A very clear one. And our mission today, really, is to look past those glossy brochures and understand how Ukraine is rewriting the physics of modern combat. We're not just reading specs. We're analyzing survival strategies that have somehow turned into market dominance.
And the theme of the whole show is the future of defense integration.
Which is the irony, because Ukraine is the only one there showing what that actually looks like when your very existence is on the line. It's not a theory for them.
Right. You walk past these booths with slick CGI videos, future warfare, and then you get to the Ukrainian stand, and they have actual hardware that was probably designed because someone on the front line needed to solve a problem. Like last week.
That's it. That urgency breeds a very specific kind of innovation. It isn't about checking boxes on a 10-year government contract. It's about, does this work? Is it cheap? And can we build 1,000 of them by Tuesday?
Okay, let's start with the air war, because that's been the most immediate threat. For years, we've seen this brutal economic game. Russia launches cheap Iranian Shahed drones.
They're basically flying mopeds with a warhead.
Yeah. And Ukraine has to shoot them down, often with very, very expensive missiles.
The economic asymmetry problem. It's the absolute nightmare of modern air defense. If you fire a $2 million Patriot missile at a $20,000 drone, you save the target, sure, but you lose the economic war. You will go bankrupt long before they run out of cheap drones.
So, at Riyadh, Ukraine seems to have unveiled the answer. They're calling them interceptor drones. Now, there was a bit of confusion in the early reports about the name General Chereshnya.
Right, let's clear that up. Chereshnya is just Ukrainian for cherry. So the company is General Cherry. It's a bit of that classic dark Ukrainian humor in their branding. But the hardware is dead serious. They unveiled the Bullet.
The Bullet. Sounds fast.
It is, relatively speaking. It's a jet-powered drone interceptor. It can hit speeds up to 310 kilometers per hour.
So it's not a fighter jet, but it doesn't need to be.
It doesn't need to be. It just needs to be faster than a Shahed, which sort of putters along at about 180. So it's a purpose-built hunter.
And it flies pretty high.
Up to 6 kilometers, which puts it right in the sweet spot for these loitering munitions. And the really critical piece of news from the show is that this system has passed codification.
Codification? That's a very bureaucratic word for it's ready for combat, isn't it?
It's ready to kill, yes. In military terms, it means it's passed the state trials, the specs are verified, and it's officially approved for use. It's moved from being a cool prototype to actual inventory.
And they showed more than just the Bullet, right? I saw something about an Air Pro.
Also from General Cherry, yeah. Compact, extremely fast, already approved. But the numbers, the sheer volume of takedowns is what really shocked the analysts.
What are we talking about?
In October alone, the General Chereshnya systems were credited with 548 confirmed takedowns. Just pause and think about that number.
548 in 1 month.
Not with expensive missiles, but with other cheaper drones.
It's an entire air force of robots wiping out another air force of robots. It feels like we just crossed a threshold into science fiction.
The term we use is distributed lethality. Instead of a few massive, expensive SAM batteries protecting a city, you just flood the zone with these cheap interceptors. And speaking of flooding the zone, we have to talk about the P-1 Esun from Skyfall.
The 3D printed one.
That's the one. This takes the whole concept even further. It's faster, 450 kilometers per hour. But the revolution isn't the speed, it's the manufacturing. Skyfall designed it with a modular 3D printed airframe.
So they can just print them like toys.
They can print them like they're printing ammunition. They are claiming they can produce thousands a month.
Thousands per month. Okay, let's just unpack that for a second. If you have thousands of these things flying around, you're not just defending a city, you're creating a net.
Precisely. You create a denial zone. And because they're modular and 3D printed, if the enemy changes tactics, you just tweak the design file and print a modified version tomorrow. You don't have to retool an entire factory. It's agile software development for lethal hardware.
It's absolutely incredible. But as amazing as that is, if they're locking down the sky, what's happening at sea? Because honestly, the naval updates from the show are what made my jaw drop.
This is, I think, arguably where Ukraine has humiliated conventional military thinking the most. You have to remember the context here. Ukraine has virtually no conventional navy, no cruisers, no frigates, nothing. And yet, they have forced the Russian Black Sea Fleet, a fleet with centuries of history, to basically run and hide.
And the star of that story has been the Magura V5 sea drone.
The workhorse. It's legendary. An 800-kilometer range sinks massive landing ships like the Caesar Kunikov.
But they didn't bring the V5 to the show. They brought the V7. And this is a different beast entirely.
It's a massive evolution. The Magura V7 is a larger hull, it's stealthier, bigger engine. But the aha moment isn't the boat itself, it's what they bolted onto it. Air-to-air missiles.
Wait, hold on. A sea drone, a little unmanned boat, is carrying air-to-air missiles like the kind of fighter jet uses.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
We are talking about R-73s or AM-9 Sidewinders, heat-seeking missiles designed for dogfights.
So up until now, a Russian helicopter or a jet could fly over the Black Sea, hunt these drone boats, and feel pretty safe.
That was the doctrine. Air superiority protects naval assets. But Ukraine just flipped the entire table. They created a Frankensam on the water. There was that report of a world-first strike where one of these sea drones actually downed a Russian Su-30 flanker.
That is terrifying for a pilot. You're flying, looking for ships, and a Sidewinder just launches from a wave crest.
It completely changes the psychology. Now, the sea itself is hostile airspace. It's a masterclass in what we call sea denial. You don't need a navy to control the sea. You just need to make it impossible for the enemy to use it.
And they also upgraded the Sea Baby, right? That's the other big one.
Yes, the Sea Baby is the heavy bomber of the fleet. While the Magura V7 is becoming this multi-role fighter, the new Sea Baby carries an 850-kilogram payload.
That's almost a metric ton of explosives. That doesn't just damage a ship, it deletes it.
Or a bridge support. And it's faster, too. We heard the Pentagon and the U.S. Navy reps have been all over this booth. They've officially tested these drones because they realize this is the future. Why build a billion-dollar destroyer when $1 million worth of drones can sink it?
The ultimate return on investment. Okay, so air, swarming, sea, a no-go zone. But wars are still won on the ground. And on the ground in Ukraine, that usually means one thing.
Mud. The Bezdorisia. The season of bad roads. It's legendary. It stopped Napoleon, it stopped Hitler, and it bogs down modern tanks just the same.
So what's the innovation for the mud?
This brings us to the ground game at WDX. And the star was the Protector UGV unmanned ground vehicle from a company called Ukrainian Armor.
That thing looks like a small tank.
It's a beast.
4
tons diesel engine to 60 kilometers per hour. But the philosophy behind it is what's really interesting. They call it the road of life concept.
The road of life? What does that mean?
Think about logistics on the front line. The most dangerous job isn't always pulling the trigger. It's driving the supply truck or the ambulance. When the mud is deep, trucks get stuck, they're sitting ducks.
And the drivers get killed.
Precisely. The Protector is designed to take that human out of the equation. It can tow 3 tons of supplies. You can carry 700 kilos of ammo right to the trench. Or, and this is crucial, it can load up wounded soldiers and evacuate them autonomously.
So you're saving the wounded without risking a medic.
And because it's a tracked robot, it handles the mud better than a truck, and it's a much smaller target. It's all about logistics and, preservation of life.
I also saw a mention of another one, the Koi.
That's a great example of the ecosystem. That one started as basically a nonprofit, a volunteer effort. It's garage engineering graduating to military doctrine. It shows how the whole of Ukrainian society, mobilized.
Which brings us to the big contrast. Russia's at this show, too. A Rosoboron export has a big booth. What are they selling?
Well, the contrast is,
Hmm.
it's frankly embarrassing for Moscow. They're debuting the Sarma MLRS, just another rocket launcher, and the BTR-22 armored personnel carrier.
So, bigger guns and thicker armor. It's 20th century thinking.
It's modernizing legacy platforms. Here's a BTR, but slightly better.
Meanwhile, next door, Ukraine is rewriting the rules of robotics. And there's this massive credibility gap. Russia stamps combat proven on their brochures.
But everyone has seen the videos on Telegram of those exact BTRs burning after being hit by a $500 drone.
It's a tough sales pitch.
Yeah.
Buy our tank, it explodes really well. The intelligence coming out of the show suggests Russia is resorting to barter deals and slashing prices because no one wants to pay full price for tech that's so visibly failing.
So Ukraine is winning the innovation race.
Yeah.
But innovation needs money. And this is where the strategy gets really interesting. I keep hearing about this Danish model. What is that?
This is one of the most brilliant strategic shifts we've seen. Look, Ukraine needs a staggering amount of equipment. The number for 2026 alone is $120 billion.
That is a massive bill. It is. And Western partners are tired of the logistics of shipping heavy equipment across a continent. So, the Danish model is simple. Don't just send weapons to Ukraine. Send money to Ukrainian factories to build the weapons themselves.
Oh, that is smart. So Denmark pays a factory in Kiev to build a drone, and that drone is at the front the next day.
Exactly. It removes the shipping delay, the border logistics, and it's cheaper. A Ukrainian-made drone costs a fraction of a Western one, so your aid dollar buys more bang.
And it builds up their own economy, making them less dependent in the long run.
Correct. And the production goals this is fueling are just mind-bending. For 2026, Ukraine is aiming to produce 7 million drones.
7 million? I can't even visualize that number. That's what, nearly 20,000 drones a day?
It's industrial-scale warfare, but with robotics. And here's where it gets interesting for the global market. They aren't just using them, they're exporting the know-how.
To Saudi Arabia, I read.
Yes. Saudi Arabia has their Vision 2030 plan to localize 50% of their defense spending. Ukraine is stepping in and saying, we'll transfer the technology. We will teach you how to build these battle-tested systems right here.
That's a huge vote of confidence. Riyadh is betting on Ukrainian tech over Russian tech.
The money follows what works. Defense tech investment in Ukraine was about $105 million in 2024. With these new deals, the expectation is it will exceed $1 billion in 2026. Ukraine is transforming from a recipient of aid into a military-industrial powerhouse.
It really feels like we're watching a nation just transform under this immense pressure. They went from asking for helmets to teaching the world how to fight a robotic war.
They've turned their survival instinct into an innovation engine. And I think the key takeaway for you, for the listener, is this. What we are seeing in Riyadh isn't just a trade show. It is a preview of the next 50 years of warfare. And Ukraine is writing the manual.
A sobering but incredibly impressive reality. You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry.
It's been a pleasure to break all this down.
Subscribe to Defense Reports, your trusted source for timely, in-depth military and defense analysis. We'll see you next time. Keep supporting us so we can continue bringing you the latest developments from Ukraine and around the world.
And before we go, here's a final thought for you to chew on. If Ukraine is producing 7 million drones a year, and they're integrating AI for targeting, at what point does the human operator become the bottleneck in the system? Are we looking at the world's first fully autonomous frontline where the machines decide when and what to engage?
That is a thought that will keep me up tonight. Thanks for listening, everyone.